Finally, a worthy sequel. Like many other movies, this is an amazing sequel to a fantastic figure I previously reviewed on this channel. So I welcome you to the review of the TungMung EX Digimon line Duke X. Unlike Omegamon X, Dukemon shines with a bright brilliance, elegancy and majesty in every pose you strike him. While Omegamon had this ferocity and raw power to it, Dukemon itself, with this complete white, gold, red and translucent bluish demeanor, takes up very elegant space in your Detolf or any other shelf you can pose him in. Like Omegamon as well, this is complete diecast with plastic surrounding the diecast on itself. The cape is wired like with Omegamon and any other TungMung EX line. Moreover though, the detail and the molding as well as sculpting on the parts of the figure are amazingly done like on Omegamon X. Well, difference here is of course that compared to Omegamon, the wire, as I mentioned in its movie, on the cape are a bit more thickened, a bit more reinforced, so they hold very stable and do not falter a bit. What is really amazing, like Omegamon X, this Dukemon has indeed differences in its design to the original Dukemon design from the X Evolution movie. It has a few peaks and tweaks here and there that TungMung made for itself, and like with Omegamon, it also has double bend joints with mechanical design to it, and when you move them you will see how amazingly they move and look. Details like on the face, the red, the little sculpting from the helmet, the breathable holds, little symbols here and there, and sculpted detail on everybody, everywhere on the body is greatly done. Belts that you can possess on his body, a little bit of sculpted detail from the material, and just the overall sleekness of the design gives off amazing vibes. Plus, the cool thing is about this Dukemon, the white is really something clean. First and foremost, we have this little head for the 01 Omegamon White, which is, I believe, either input because of license reasons or just to upgrade the original head that Omegamon had, giving it a few details more maybe. I don't really get what the difference is between the two heads. I don't know why it was implanted, but it looks really cool to be honest, and that it is here is something great. Then Dukemon has a set of hands he can exchange his wrists with. You saw two, which are the closed fists on Dukemon himself. He has two of these half-closed fists which have a hole in it to input the shield into his hands. He can have it on both sides. I just display the right side because the left is attached to the shield itself, and since it is a tight fit you can only get it out with a few tools to your disposal, which means that I will display such this, but it has a set of two of it. Then you have here two open palm hands, and the cool detail is they molded in the digital hazard on his gloves, but they are not colored in red, which is a little shame to it. I would have wished that they had done it, so it would have given it a bit more flair. Although you can do it yourself, but I am not a painter, so yeah, this is out of question. Next up we have Dukemon's shield, and I have to say this shield is done amazingly. Like compared to, of course it's not really a comparison because they are two different shields, but as a Chigart Dukemon's or I believe it was the first D-Arts Dukemon shield, they are completely made of different material. Like this is incredibly elegantly done because just the gold and the hieroglyphs on the surroundings of the shield, they just corner it up very amazingly. The translucent blue crystals are great, and even their little details inside of it. Here the hieroglyphs on the side are some code of digital writings, I don't know, like Omegamon's Grey Sword head. And here on the inside even we have like a star-shaped form inside of it with the back really having levels to it so you can feel the texture on it. Then of course we have Dukemon's lance. I believe his name was Graham in the lore, his lance Graham, which indeed has a really cool function. You can split up the side claws to reveal something like a bursting out laser effect, which is very cool, placing them as in any degree you like from its limitations, and even closing it that it looks like it ignites the laser out of the grip. You insert the wrist plaque that holds the hands here inside so you can hold them on his arms. And of course, like Omegamon X Garuru Cannon, it has battery compartment to illuminate the lance. And unlike Omegamon's Garuru cannon, this is far brighter because the plastic has more room to catch the light, and I believe the LED is even stronger than on the Omegamon Garuru cannon, which I tried out the first time I got this figure, and it looks really amazing. Like, I'm sadly to say that I do not possess batteries momentarily to illuminate any of my figures, but since it's the summer here in Germany, I believe that it's not that good of an idea. But overall, this is just amazingly done. The silver and the painting, like on the sheet, are very amazing. The red is such an amazing crimson red, like on Crimson Mode's armor pieces. Translucent crystals, the gold look amazing. Some details implanted here on the side of the claws. Here on side mirrors the other side, but just one side has the battery compartment, and you have beneath one of the claws, here, the switch to push it on and off. And other than that, this is just basically Graham's lens. But I have to say, just that it has a LED gimmick like Omegamon X, because the Alphamon doesn't possess one, is just something special in my eyes. Because with Alphamon they dropped it, I don't know why. It could have been done that the wings illuminate a little bit, or just the Aureliocum blade, but well, anyways, that it is here and added with Alphamon is quite a bit sad. In addition to it, of course, the shit is quite big and heavy. You get this little helper piece for it to attach TungMung's arm and to the shield so it stays in position, and because of the heavy nature of the shield, it would normally twist the arm at the wrist, so it will just fall down, but with this thing attached to the arm and the shield, it just stays in position and you can still wiggle it a bit around. And of course, last but not least, we have the TungMung EX stand. It's like with Omegamon X, a completely see-through stand which possesses multiple holes. You can plug the stand arm in and have TungMung in every position you want him to necessarily be. But in addition to the usual stand you will get from the seller I bought this figure from, the store gave me something very special with it. And this will be this stand here with an imprint of TungMung on it. This is the imprint of TungMung X with the writing TungMung X Antibody and the insanely sick artwork on top of it. I believe this follows a basic ass Gunpla or model kit stand, because it had this arm attached to it, which normally comes with model kits. I took it off, of course, but it was unprinted with this amazing artwork of TungMung, and I used this instead of the normal TungMung stand, because I mean, look at it, it just looks amazing, holy shit. Every TungMung figure shares similar body types of diecast body to each other. This is not much different from that of Omegamon, except maybe a few parts here and there. So let's begin with it. Here on TungMung, it is important to not move the head by touching the horns on the side, because they seem quite a bit fragile. If you push them a bit, you feel them bending, so I would really suggest to be careful. This hairpiece can be removed. I would suggest to do so when moving the head, because you have a lot of free space to grab the head and move it around. So which means you can twist it around, it can go even 360 degrees, it can tilt side to side. And the interesting thing is, here the horns do indeed touch this neck guard, but it also is like a sort of stop, because these thicker than horns, they are the ones touching the neck guard, which is no problem at all. They can withstand the force. As such, you have a really sure marking when you have to stop, apply pressure, which is when they touch each other. And then of course you can look up that far, which is funnily enough the figure of TungMung EX style, which has the best neck articulation out of all three of them, and it can look down this far, which gives them very much of emotional states concerning the head, as the eyes are like Omegamon straight out, and if you just put him in any position you can have a lot of emotions out of it, like with Omegamon. This is something I really enjoy on figures which do not possess, like Hot Toys figures, or let's say newer Hot Toys figures, this function where you can move the eye inside of the head, or smaller figures where that is not possible. As such, the neck itself is also, like with Omegamon, on a joint which you can hinge back and forward, giving a bit more range to it overall. These translucent crystals are each on the chest and here on the ankles of the feet, which are separate parts. You have to attach them to the body, but you can move them around so they do not really hinder articulation, which comes in handy because this TungMung has butterfly joints as well, as you can see here, like with Omegamon, the same type, allowing him to give it a bit more range and a bit more naturality to it. 360 degrees on each arm as well. You can even move this shoulder part. It is on a ball hinge, rotating it, and with Omegamon alike, it is here on a hinge inside of the arm, so you can just press it up and press it down. But be careful with the horns, as they can indeed touch each other. But they go out of the way to give movement for the arm, which indeed possesses a little cool swivel. You can swivel 360 degrees, and it is quite tight, so it holds. It has a double bent elbow. Let's show it. You have the lower part, which bends a bit, and then with the other gives it 90 degrees angle. It is unfortunate because, unlike Omegamon, this TungMung has only a swivel here on the upper arm, on the biceps, but not here below on the elbow, which means you can only get the 90 degrees, maybe a bit more out of the arm, but it is enough for TungMung anyways. So, as I said, here on the arm you can attach lens, which means you have to remove the lower arm to release the plug from its grip, and you can just attach it back on. It does work on both arms for shield and lance. The hands are on a ball pack, which you can rotate, but they are not in any way or shape or form attached to a hinge, so you can't move them up and down or side to side. You can just swivel them. But with TungMung, you basically will rarely pose him with hands. You would most like to have him with shield and lance, so it doesn't really matter at all. Here on his torso, you can see that it is a bit of different design than from Omegamon. Omegamon had, I believe, 2 sections on the belly with hinges on it. This TungMung has only one here inside the torso and one below the waist. So you can crunch him here on the waist, and in the belly he has a little one too, which gives you this kind of forward, and then back. You can extend his back quite well. And also you can tilt him side to side. And on belly, here inside the torso, and on waist you can rotate him. 360 degrees is possible, and you can have very natural poses, and even superhero landings are quite easy, well done. Like on Omegamon, you have here the side cuts moving out of the way to not hinder posability at all. These are the same hip joints as with Omegamon, so means they are ratcheted. So you get basically a kick and this far. You can move them outwards and back. They go about this far. You can of course swivel them around, and like Omegamon, he possesses double jointed knees, but due to TungMung's just overall design, they go far further than Omegamon's ever could, which gives him a bit more naturality and of course a bit more style to him. He of course possesses tilting. He can move it up and down, but not as much as Omegamon. Like Alphamon, it is a bit hindered because of the armory around the ankles, and like every TungMung figure you can tilt the toe, which is quite nice. What I forgot to show, but it's not of course possible, is that the arms move up and down. Because of the shoulder pauldrons, they are limited, but as you already know, they can be moved and the crystals adjusted in their grade, so you can move them a bit more further up and down, but they are a bit limited. Of course, like with Omegamon, bendy wired cape, holds any pose you like, twisted, bend it, doesn't matter, it looks amazing. On every shelf, this figure will give you just amazing vibes. From the overall just outlook of it, the overall details, the painting, the amazing little features it got, the die-cast part, they are just giving you this amazing picture that you can have in your shelf and be present, be it in elegancy, be it in a normal ass museum pose. Elegancy and majesty are always present with this figure. And of course, in the contrast, like mentioned in the beginning, with Omegamon X ferocity and widely beast nature that it has just with this overall black theme and its own design, this is a stark contrast when you have both in one shelf. Overall, not only is the articulation amazing and quite on par with the Omegamon X, of course due to the design of TungMung, it is a bit hindered here and there, like with Omegamon, and here are a few parts improved than compared with Omegamon. As also, as mentioned, the posability has just a lot of variety you can put TungMung in, as even the accessories like shield and the lance come in handy with posing. Just the basic at standing positions, like here you have it, or in more dynamic action poses. It doesn't matter what this figure just, oh my god, I repeat myself with amazing and outstanding and this praising, but it is just like it is not the art or SH Figure Arts TungMung. This is really a piece of art you can have and you can buy. This is just outrageously great. I mean, all of its glory is just there to pose you in this amazing state of I want it, I have to have it, and I also want to have the other two to just pose them together in my shelf, because I cannot but have all three. As such, yeah, I did exactly that. I have all three of the X lines except the white Omegamon, because if I would have it, you would have seen it already. But well, what can I say? Like, of course, to contrast, I have to also say this is not a perfect figure. Like Omegamon, it has its little flaws. I would try to correct, maybe change, maybe add a little things here and there. But other than that, I will just mention them quite quickly and give, of course, like in the end, my little recommendation if you should buy it or not. So lastly, in the saying, yes, buy this figure. TungMung X of TungMung's line is like Omegamon, a must-have for every Digimon fan and every figure collector. Despite the sizes, these are very pieces, real grail to have in your collection if you want to impose or impress others. For example, just a tad little bit smaller could have been the shield, because it's so gigantic from the front view when you pose him with a cool defense position. The shield covers most of his body, even the head you sometimes can't see if you just give the arm these 90 angle degrees forward, and it covers everything of the head, so you have to position it a bit lower than it usually should be. But since it's so gigantic, it barely is noticeable. But if you look from behind, like right now, you can see it just looks a bit off. The lens has no problems at all posing or anything, it's just the shit that is just too big in my opinion. But other than that, this combination of both, it gives this figure its completion. This is amazing, and with the wired cape you can have so much dynamic and cool positions. TungMung just rocks every single one of it. TungMung, like Omegamon, just has these armor parts on the ankles that hinder the articulation of the feet so much. If there would have been a mechanism to pull them a bit further down, just like on the waist, the hip joints, then not only would have the feet but also the legs more chance of posing for range and such, just to give the figure more dynamic poses. And every TungMung figure lacks these things, which I quite think is stupid. Other than that as well, the pauldrons could have been a bit more smaller since they are quite big for that design. And the little hairpiece of TungMung on his head could have been far more better handled in the case of its plug-in. The plug-in is just here a little out circled a bit, let's say, on the plug you stuck it in. And that is the entire friction that holds this entire hairpiece onto the head, which is quite loose, so if you touch it you can move it or even sometimes just knock it off the socket. Buy this figure, it is a must-have, and with Alphamon you will see next week the figure line will be complete and you will have an amazing look at each of the individual figures of TungMung X line that will just surprise you when you buy them personally. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Of course, if you came this far in the video, give this a subscribe, give me a like to this video, comment below which one you liked more, the Omegamon or TungMung, and of course, love what you do what you love. I am out.